still 80% of the hiring or the job search process need to be done by person, right? So as an HR, you can still do better job than the search engine, right? So because your brain is much more powerful. So besides the job board, there's actually much better and efficient way to do the job searching, like headhunter or even internal referrals. And then let's compare the difference between the internal referral and the search engine. I think right now the search engine hiring is so broken. The reason for that is
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're listening. Welcome back to AI and the Future of Work, episode 368. I'm your host, Dan Turchin, CEO of PeopleRain, the AI platform for IT and HR employee service. Our community is growing. We're up to well over 1 million listeners. Thanks to you for joining us each week. I get asked all the time, how can you meet other listeners who share a common passion for AI and the future of work? Well, the answer is subscribe to the weekly newsletter. We share some fun facts and clips that don't always make it into the main episode. We'll share a link to subscribe in the show notes. Of course, we are all in this together, and by that I mean shaping this global, very important conversation about the future of work. If you enjoy today's episode or any other, share it with just one friend. That's all I ask. They'll know that you care about using AI to make humans better. And if someone you know shared this with you, say thanks and pay it forward. If you leave a comment, I may share it in an upcoming episode like this one from Bharat in Jersey City, New Jersey, who is a data analyst. Bharat's favorite episode is number 302 with Vijay Balasubramanian, Pin Drop CEO, about the journey to raising over $200 million to detect audio deep fakes. Certainly an important, timely conversation. We learn from AI thought leaders weekly. And of course, the added bonus, you get one AI fun fact. Here it is for today. Krista Escobar writes at CNBC.com that AI headshots are changing the way job seekers are seen and hired. She says in a competitive job market, a good headshot can make a big difference. But professional photography has long been a financial barrier for many job applicants. This frustration has fueled the explosion of AI headshot tools like Insta Headshots, PhotoPax AI, Headshot Pro, and Aragon AI, services that promise a professional image in minutes starting at under $50. The technology's rapid adoption has created new questions about ethics and trust. Many candidates fear looking fake or deceptive, and recruiters are on the lookout for AI-generated portraits that look overly smooth or stylized. The tension between tech innovation and accessibility on the one hand, and authenticity on the other will remain. Of course, we'll share the full link to that interesting article in the show notes. My commentary: we're in a post-truth era, and I don't mean that in a cynical way. AI-infused everything is an opportunity to ask about the origin of everything, from content to images and music to art. Because artifacts were generated using AI doesn't necessarily make them inauthentic. However, if the author doesn't disclose the role AI played, well, then we have to question perhaps the motives of the owner of that AI-generated content. Cultivate a desire to learn the source of everything, not because AI-generated content is necessarily fake, but because understanding the origin of what we consume teaches us something about the motivations and inclinations of the creator. We'll, of course, unpack this complicated topic in upcoming episodes. Now, shifting to this week's great conversation. Eric Cheng is co-founder and CEO of Jobright, an AI-driven career copilot serving more than 550,000 users. Previously, Eric was an early engineer at Box and co-founder of Fangcloud, which was backed by Lightspeed and Matrix and subsequently acquired by Kihu 360 Group in 2020. Eric holds an MS in computer science from Carnegie Mellon. Go Tartans. What impressed me when prepping for this one is the enthusiasm job seekers have for Jobright. Nobody loves job hunting. Nobody loves job boards. And yet there's just an unbridled enthusiasm for the impact that Jobright is having. We will learn exactly why that is in today's conversation. Eric, my pleasure to welcome you to the podcast. Let's get started by having you share a bit more about that background and how you got into the space.
Sure, definitely. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me here. Hi everyone. So I'm Eric. I think Dan already briefly talked about my background. I first studied in the CS. During my school, I have been always dreaming become entrepreneur, right? That's why. So I right after school, actually I got a few offers from big companies like Yahoo, Amazon, with a lot higher salaries. But for me, my goal is I really want to enter like a very early stage Silicon Valley startup with maybe potentially some founders drop from the college. That's why I joined Job Box, right? So when I joined Box, I'm 10th engineers. The team was great, right? So Aaron Levy is a drop off from college. I think that's the dream team I want to be in. Yeah, I stayed there for 4 years and helped Box to grow to be a unicorn from like a 10-ish team size to like a 1,000 team size companies. During that 4 years, I grew a lot, right? So I helped Box to build the whole backend teams, and maybe half of the Box product is built by my team. After 4 years, I think it's ready for me to take a new venture. That's why I started Fangcloud. I actually went back to China and started Fangcloud. So basically, Fangcloud is you can view this as like a combination of Slack and Box, right? It's basically one stop for enterprise collaboration SaaS. I help. Yeah, so in the next 6 years, I drive Fangcloud to be the leading enterprise collaboration SaaS in China. So we serve more than 50,000 paying customers. And get a lot of fundings from like Matrix and Lightspeed, as you already mentioned. Yeah, so in 2020, the company is acquired. To be honest, I think the biggest reason is that, in the first 10 years, I stay in the same space, like the productivity tool space. I really want to try something new at that point. Also my personal interest is really to help young people, no matter on their careers or educations. So that's why. So after the company is acquired, I stayed in the parent group company for like 1 year, and after that I left and then during that one gap year, so I did a lot of travels. You asked me like, well, how did I come up with Jobright ideas? At that point, so I try to I randomly basically met about 150 young professionals, had an interview with them, just like and try to explore different ideas during that trip. And expectedly, very surprisingly, I helped 10 of them to get jobs. Because I was not headhunter. I don't think myself as a career coach, right? So, I didn't refer any specific job to them. So the reason I helped them to get the job is like after conversation, I found usually those young professionals they didn't stay in the center of like the New York or Silicon Valley, right? So they stay in the small to medium like cities. So and when I chat with them, I immediately find their strengths. But the thing about that is, I realize most young professionals, they're very limited by what are the roles they can be fit, right? So maybe they were sales before, and then they only look for sales roles. What I did is I happen to know what are the trending industries or the demanding positions they might be a good fit based on their strengths and experience. I give them a recommendation on the different paths they can go and help them to basically maybe make their resume more relevant to that role. That's it. So by doing this, actually, so a lot of them actually get jobs, and even their salary got doubled after that. From there, I'm inspired. Okay, so if they don't meet with me, maybe they don't have a chance to meet with a mentor, right? So who can guide them on their careers? What if we can build something on top of AI that can bring everyone a top career coach plus job hunting expert, right? So help guide them on the career on the career path and help them to get the next ideal job. Yeah, that's why the Jobright come out. Yeah.
Great example of how founders find product market fit.
Yeah.
Now, as an employer, I can attest to just how broken the job search process is from both perspectives. I know at PeopleRain, when we post a rec, we'll routinely get over 1,000 applicants.
Right.
And I can only imagine how frustrating it must be to be an applicant just lost in a sea of other profiles, many of which truly are excellent. That process, both from the candidate's perspective and the employer's, is broken in so many ways. Like once you define the need, how'd you go about isolating it down to a specific problem to solve? And what was kind of the thesis? Like, how do you see the process as being broken?
Right. when I look at the solutions for certain problems, I want to look at it from the first principle. So fundamentally, it's a matching problem, right? So no matter for job search, for resume, for interview, it's a matching. So you finally get the offer, right? So let's say compare with 20 years ago, I think it still take the same amount of time to get a one hire, right? So it didn't get any easy, right? So either than before. The reason for that is the job search and hiring is very complex and non-standard matching problem. That means it's not like when you're just find a Uber ride, right? So it's very standard matching process. It's very easy to get a driver in 10 seconds because there's only 20 attributes to define who is a good like a driver or who is nearby driver or something like that, right? But in order to look for a full-time talent there may be tens of thousands factors, not only the resume, your skills, your personalities, culture fit, different things. And both sides need to make a decision. It's not a one-side decision, right? It's both sides. So all the previous technology, even like the search technology, they can only understand keywords, right? So that's why in such inefficient way that 80% of the hiring or the job search process need to be done by person, right? Even let's say you are a new grad, right? So as an HR, you can still do better job than the search engine, right? So because your brain is much more powerful. Think about that. So besides the job board, there's actually much better and efficient way to do the job searching, like headhunter or even internal referrals. Think about internal referral model, right? So the reason that matching conversion is so high is because you have 10x more information about your friends and about a company, right? And your brain is much better match engine, right? So, and then let's compare the difference between the internal referral and the search engine. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think right now the search engine hiring is so broken. The reason for that is the existing system can only do very simple keywords matching, and the both sides try to spam the each other, right? So that's the reason, right? So the candidate apply 1,000 jobs didn't get any interviews. The employer side get 1,000 applicants within a day, and 95% of them are irrelevant, right? So they feel like they're wasting times. But what we thought the AI can help is AI is the first technology that can really think and do reasoning like a human. What if the next generation of job board is not a job board? It's actually a super brain that can function like a top expert in every single domain, and then that has an in-depth information about both sides. It will do the matching instead of searching, right? So let's say it will basically function like a headhunter. So that's how I position these problems. And the goal of Jobright is how we can build that super brain that can has all the matching technology, matching expertise in different job functions, but also try to gradually bring more information. Let's say when the Jobright try to engage with the job seeker, it will try to chat with you, understand your intention, and scan your strengths, right? Just exactly like how I did interview with the 150 young professionals, right? So find their strengths and only recommend the jobs they're qualified, not just randomly let them to apply the jobs to span the other side. Yeah, so that's how I think about this problem.
So when I was getting ready for this discussion, my first, second, and third thoughts were the market is saturated with technologies, I mean, including all of the incumbent job boards that are thinking about the problem in a similar way. How is Jobright different?
Yeah, so I think if you look at all the AI is definitely very powerful, right? So it's the good thing it can bring to the game is that it brings the expertise. Because no matter for the job search and for the recruiting, it's very time consuming, but also it needs a lot of expertise, right? So a job seeker who's good at job search can do a much better job than someone who, never found a job before, even they're very talented in their domain, right? So that's what AI can help with. But also the opposite way is AI is very efficient and powerful tool. It can help you to automate things, right? So I think right now, most of the job board, let's say, or the AI tools, they just try to help you to automate your job search. But the key difference of Jobright is we not only want to make the process efficient. Like the key difference is that we want to let you feel it's expert helping to get the job, right? So previously with the job board, you need to do everything by yourself. Now with Jobright, you feel like you have expert who doesn't only so spam like just try to help you to apply 500 job a day. It try to pick the best job for you, try to basically identify your strengths, help you to polish your resume, but based on the truthful information, not make up information, right? And Jobright also help you to try to, who can be the best fit on LinkedIn to give you referrals. Do a bunch of the things. Maybe you're like some just similar like how your the recruiting expert help you do. Yeah.
Now, you referenced the important role that you and your teams played at Box, and that was building a storage and retrieval system, along with a lot of interesting security features for documents. But kind of your quote customer or the atomic unit in the system was a document. But now lives are at stake. I mean, you're helping with a very important part of people's lives, and instead of the kind of atomic unit being a document, there's a human behind the resume or the application process. How do you think about the software challenge differently, and maybe talk us through the hardest technical challenge that you and the team have solved, in addition to that kind of social commitment that you have to helping job seekers?
Yeah, definitely. I think the compare with 10 years ago, right? So I think let's take Box as an example, right? So previously, I think the technology challenge of Box is the document is unstructured data, right? So and there's a, I mean, theoretical for any single company or person, right? So your best knowledge stay in the documents. But most of the document cannot be the insights cannot be retrievable, right? So that means they stay in your folder for forever, right? So the goal of Jobright is how we, can help people to find, search, and reuse the information. But the hard part is really the previous technology can only understand keywords, right? So it can maybe do keyword searching, but not like human reading the document and give you the summaries. I think the AI can definitely, had to break through and on top of that, right? That's why Box try to build an AI agent that can help you to summarize document, try to generate report and be assistant and about you. Similar thing for the job seeker side, right? So every day as Jobright. So we basically aggregate all jobs across the internet. There's a 400,000 jobs coming in every day, right? So think about that. It's theoretical as a job seeker. There's no way you can browse even like let's say given a certain role like software engineers fitting. For senior professionals, there's might be 50,000 new roles coming. There's impossible for you to read all the JD even like 10 seconds, right? So that's how the technology can help, right? So we use AI to help you to filter out the fake technology, fake roles, fake JDs, help you to search about the companies. And the challenge part, I would say, is the AI still have a hallucination, right? So, and also how we can make the AI objective, because sometimes the AI, if you don't fine tune it in the right way, it might even hurt your hurt the results or efficiencies. Let's say the AI tend to so for example, like if you want to get most of more interviews, theoretically the AI should apply every single job for you, right? So it's a probability game, but we shouldn't do that. So one part I think Jobright has been investing a lot is we have a group of HR, recruiter, and hiring manager in different domains. For every single domain, the matching problems and we actually work with the domain expert, let them to train the AI so that the AI can behave like a human, and also deliver truthful information, truthful results instead of have a lot of hallucination. Yeah.
So one of the things that has shocked me in the early days of being an AI developer, again, us at PeopleRain, is the immaturity of the AI infrastructure and the tools versus, the kinds of things, the breathless enthusiasm that you read in the press about, AI tooling. What has your and your team's perception been of maybe describe your AI stack, and then what has your perception been of the maturity of the tools?
If you ever use Jobright, so we use AI, treat as I mentioned, right? So every day there's so many jobs flowing in. We use AI just treat previous. If we don't have AI, we might need to hire a big team who are basically screening and scanning different all kinds of JD and company information and summarize it and push to the job seeker, right? So we basically use AI, the large language model, to do the first layer of like data generation, extractions, and summarization part. But as I mentioned, right, so the AI is not mature yet. So on top of that, so we do have a stack of like we call it verification layers. It's a combination of human expert who is going to do sampling of the data and to make sure so it's the AI is not doing the wrong thing, but also like on top of that we have our traditional recommendation system, similar like how TikTok or Instagram works, right? So it will use the data extracted from the large language models and then build a powerful recommendation on top of that. So yeah, so that's basically the stack the tech stack we have. Yeah.
Frequently talk on this podcast about being a member of Team Human. And, what I mean by that is that humans are responsible for using AI in a responsible way that makes life better for other humans. But as technologists, we wrestle with the best way to do that at scale. And I think this is as good a use case as there is. Just let's play this out. It feels like AI could both be a solution to the job matching problem, but it could also exacerbate it. It's very credible that AI begins generating fake humans who apply for fake jobs. And it's also credible that humans who are job seekers are assisted by AI and trying to be selected by a bot that's doing the selection. And we start to just feel pretty dystopian. How do you kind of ground what you do in a real attempt to help the humans without just making the problem of job matching worse?
Yeah. So, so when we founded Jobright at the beginning, so our goal is not just to serve one side. As I mentioned, right? So the problem, let me just re-explain the problem we want to solve. Previously, if you look for a full-time role or you hire full-time talents, it may take about every 2 months to do that. How we can make it as a 2-week process, right? So make it 10x better for both sides, right? So which means, yeah, with AI, it's easily, if you only stand from one side, let's say, as I mentioned, right? So if you only stand from the job seeker side, if you just will try to get the best outcome, you should theoretically apply every single job. And they can, probability side and wide, and they can get more interviews. But then the other side will feel very painful. But for Jobright, our goal is like we want to be the connector of both sides. So that's why we can't hurt the other side, right? So because eventually we can spam the other side, but they get interview, but they won't got offer because they will be interviewed by person, and then they immediately feel like, okay, so those are fake candidates, right? So they in the ATS they can set block application from Jobright. So it doesn't. So at the end, I think even with technology, and because as long as human is still in the loop, and I don't think the cheat will work for long term. So that's why I think a lot of tools I know if they only focus on one side, they're gonna take that kind of like spamming strategy. But for Jobright, we want to become truthful for both sides. I think this is really about selection. AI doesn't have its value, right? So system, right? So but Jobright has, right? So we keep Jobright as a for both sides. We also tell them, okay, so we want to make sure when we customer resume for you, we don't make up things for you. We ask your truthful information. We even have alerts for you. Don't put the make up information for that. And also recently we actually launched our product for the recruiting side, right? So we and they have the similar question, but after they using Jobright, you know what they said? They said on other job board, maybe 80% of the applicants are fake candidates or fake resume. There's a serious problem for them. But on Jobright, they might only get 50 applicants per day, but they feel like, okay, this is the platform with the highest density of real talents, right? So that's how we build brand, and yeah, so and also the difference between us and other tools. Yeah,
good answer. Makes sense. You published an article that I enjoyed about this concept of a learning loop, kind of replacing the traditional skills development process. Describe your thoughts behind the learning loop, what it is, and what do you propose candidates and employers do differently once they get the job?
I think it's really a mindset changing thing. So first, like at the very, I mean, when during the gap year, right? So the reason I helped them is I found most of the professionals when they stay in certain domains, they try to climb the ladder, right? So from junior sales to be senior sales to be sales manager or something like that. But first, in the world, I think after 5 years, anyone in the world can work for any companies in the world. So not like before, you only look for local jobs, right? So the job available for you are all the ones across the world, right? So that's the trend, right? So the global hiring happened. When that happened, that means beyond the domain you stay, first there's a lot more opportunity that can bring you higher salary or higher career goals. So that's one observation I have. Second one is you I mean, because the dynamic previously, you can stay in one domain for maybe a few decades, right? So the technology doesn't change, the economics stayed stable, right? It's all about your work security feel very high, right? So that's why people stay in the way. But look at the past 20 years, right? The technology try to accelerate not linearly but exponentially. That means the labor market transformation will happen faster and faster. Which means you can't, for example, like maybe 10 years ago, right? So, and I think software engineering and are still the hottest job right now. Right now, it's still, I believe it's still very important jobs, but AI can write maybe 70% of the code already in a big tech company. That means every single engineer need to be ready and to adopt new skills. And previously, you can be the manager because you know how to do architecture. But now, after maybe 15 years, you become a manager, you never write code. You only do design architecture. But now, AI probably can do better than you on architecture. And that means a young professional, maybe right after school, if he or she can leverage AI smartly, he can probably do better job than you, right? So, but your salary is probably like twice or third times or three times higher than the young professional, right? So, I think the mindset is really about, I think, first, I think because of the dynamics of the job market will change so quickly, and everyone need to be ready to re-enter the loop and try to adopt new skills. It doesn't mean your previous experience will not be, it's not useful, but it's really about how you can reset yourself from your mind, right? So and try to explore and be ready for new skills, new changes in the market. It's not necessarily to be the better thing. I always think the AI transformation ultimately will be good thing, but the precondition is that you have that mindset. You are willing to embrace new technologies. Yeah.
So it used to be that the diploma on the wall really dictated your career.
Right.
And I love the concept. I mean, so principled when you read your concept of a learning loop and kind of continuous improvement of your skills. But the other side of it is the employer, your manager, your organization,
Right.
also supporting the concept of you being able to continuously develop new skills, even when maybe they don't seem consistent with the degree on the wall.
Right.
How do you coach employers? I know it's not exactly what Jobright does, but just you published the piece on learning loops. How do you think about operationalizing the concept?
Yeah, I think first, what we notice in the job market that there's a new role, I think, and with higher and higher AI demand. So you probably heard a role called a forward deployment engineers, FDE, right? So basically, every AI company for B2B, they try to hire those roles because though that role basically help their customer to adopt AI, not the tool. AI is not the tool. It potentially will help you. Once you adopt AI, you need to change your whole company organization management structure or hierarchy, right? So I think the impact on the employer side is not only on the talent, how you treat your talents, how you help them to grow. It's really about you need to be prepared for the completely new model of management, right? So previously, the reason you need to do the management is because, for example, for new grads, and you need to train them, right? So maybe for at least 1 to 2 years before they can deliver great opportunities. But nowadays, the trend I found is they tend to have a high expectation that, okay, so as a new grads, but with assistance of AI, you can immediately jump in and deliver the same output like similar like a senior software engineer, right? So their expectation get changed. But also the thing is, if you not only need to hire AI enhanced talents, you need to build a culture and the management system that can fit that need. Otherwise, you still can't leverage those kind of talents. For example, if your management is still like a hierarchy based, level based, right? So everyone need to make a decision. I mean, and report to the other side. You are limiting the productivity and of that new kind of talents. So I would say it's the for the employers, they really in the future, every single company will need a role called, I don't know, AI operation role. So that person, that talents will help the whole organization to do the transformation, both on the talent hiring side, but also on the internally on the collaboration management side.
You and your team have a lot of insights into the direction that the job market is going. That's one unique insight. You talked about the FD, the forward deployed engineers, and maybe this idea of kind of someone who owns operationalization of AI.
Right.
Any more insights that you can share from the data about what you see the world searching for and the kinds of jobs that are available?
Right, definitely. First, I think so everyone is aware, right? So AI is gonna replace some of the jobs, some of kind of jobs, especially the repetitive jobs. But also AI is creating new jobs. And for example, for the new grads, let's say like take that example. I think right now, I think the market is indeed very tough for new grads, right? So because so the company don't need that many new grads because that the work new previously what the new grads can done previously now can be done mostly by AI, right? So for example, what we saw is previously for software, let's say for the CS major student, right? The top three jobs are maybe 5 to 10 years ago, it's like full stack engineer, back engineer, front engineer, right? So now all those three roles are out. I mean, are already maybe in the it's not in the top five anymore, right? So the top five job, the first one is machine learning engineer or AI engineer. So not necessarily like someone who is good at algorithm, but someone who can leverage AI to build things. The number two are very surprising is AI annotator. So basically, there's Merkle, right? So and also Surge and Scale AI, right? So there's a I don't believe it, but I think a lot of people right now believe in the future maybe 50 more than half of the jobs are of human are just human serve AI, help train AI, right? So because once you train the AI is capable of doing things, they don't need human, right? Something like that. So even we saw for sales and product manager, I think the portion of the jobs who require AI relevant experience, the percentage is keep going up very quickly. So those for the traditional, I mean, the existing roles, right? So and all those, most of the roles start to require AI skills. But for the new native AI native roles, I would talk about. So I think that's the biggest chance for the I would say especially for new young professionals like the FDE roles, the AI operation role, right? So and those are the new set of roles. I think it's gonna have maybe 10 to 20x growth in the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. Eric, we're about out of time, but I'm not letting you off the hot seat without answering one last important question for me. You said that you always kind of had an entrepreneurial inclination. But what is the engineer, the team leader from Box? What's your coaching to that person? What have you learned about yourself along this entrepreneurial journey so far?
I think the most important thing I learned in the past 10 years is both as yeah so is don't limit yourself in certain job function. You're as no matter entrepreneur or a talent, I think with AI or like I think your ultimate goal is create values. Like when I was engineers, I was thinking about okay, so how I can be an engineer manager, how I can be an architect in the future. But after I start my company, I need to force myself to become to become a product manager, to become a sales. I feel like I think all the I mean maybe the skills and expertise that thing needs to be learned, right? So but a lot of concepts underlying are the same, right? The ability you to understand your customers, the ability to solve problems, right? So if you can be a good engineer, you can also maybe create your restaurant brand also as well, right? So I think a lot of things are same. So if you want to make a big impact, let's say even as an engineer, right? So you need to have a strong sense about a user. For example, my first advice for any engineering directors or in the big platforms is that you should talk with your user. You should treat yourself as entrepreneur and try to understand their pain point. Not only look at the data, but actually talk with a real person. That's how Jobright did. So when we started Jobright, so me and my co-founder every week, even until now, we interview more than 20 users face to face, not through surveys. That kind of chat bring me a lot of information. You, as an engineer, I mean, most of engineers are not good at talking. So they feel like they stay behind the desk and just like wear headphones and writing code. But you are solving the real world problems. You need to know what your user really think about. So yeah, I think that's maybe a couple of the advice I have. Yeah.
It's so hard. You make it sound so easy. But you're right. There's no substitute for really understanding your customer and
Right.
and celebrating and making opportunities to get to know your customer. Ultimately, that's the path to building any great business is really feel like you can add value. And it sounds like that's a big part of your philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Well, Eric, let's see. Before I can let you go, you're talking to a lot of maybe job seekers in the audience. What would you tell them about Jobright? Where can they go to find Jobright, and what should they know about the service?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned, I mean, Jobright now provide both job search and services for the job seeker and employer side. Especially, we recently launched our AI recruiting services. I think as an employers, especially for startup founder or recruiters, right? Right now, there's really not many efficient way to the hire. If you use a job board, the cost is low, but you get a large volumes of irrelevant or fake candidates. And then, so you might need so the other choice is you need to hire a recruiter or you need a big team who can do the source, right? So, but for sourcing, the response rate is very low because the high quality talent, they don't want to respond to a lot of cold emails. And for headhunter, it's very expensive. What Jobright can offer is we want to make a job posting that can really work. So the key difference is that so we only recommend qualified candidate to you. So so that's basically and all the user behind the our services are active job seekers on our platforms. We have very in-depth data about their background, about the interest, and so that we can do the better matching. So
Eric, I can't speak for everyone listening, but at least for PeopleRain, maybe you just pitched a new customer. Maybe we'll consider Jobright instead of LinkedIn and traditional recruiters. So good work there.
yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's Eric Cheng from Jobright, and that is all the time we have for this week on AI and the future of work. As always, I'm your host, Dan Turchin from PeopleRain, and of course, we're back next week with another fascinating guest.